Hello, Hockey World. Today is December 9th, 2016.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Michael Agello, and this is the HockeyBuzzCast here on HockeyBuzz.com. We come to you via YouTube, and we are also starting today coming to you via TuneIn Radio. You can listen to the podcast on TuneIn Radio, on TalkShoe, and on a number of other sources that we'll be listing in our podcast blog every day. Just so stay tuned for that information, but welcome TuneIn Radio. Mr. Cohen, we want to get to the interesting events of last night between the Edmonton Oilers and Philadelphia Flyers. It was emotional. It was back and forth. It was a type of hockey that we enjoy, that we don't see very often.
Nope.
But I want to start with some of the news out of the Board of Governors meetings in Florida. Seems to be a stalemate, not surprisingly, regarding the Olympics. Gary Bettman, commissioner of the NHL, came out yesterday and said, time is running out. We're running out of time. So I think putting a little bit of pressure back on the PA. The PA came back and rejected that 3-year extension offer that the NHL put forth. Bettman let it be known yesterday that that 3-year extension was also tied into the negotiations about the 2020 World Cup. So it's been on the table. This is something that was not perceived correctly. This did not come completely out of the blue.
Okay.
This was on the table as part of an ongoing negotiation. And one thing that Bettman said, and we can discuss this, he says, if you look at the calendar and you get rid of the CBA reopeners and you extend it by 3 years, that gets you to 2 Olympics, 2 World Cups, and some new Ryder Cup type of event.
Yeah.
North America versus Europe, whatever form that Ryder Cup takes. Most importantly, it tells the world and our fans that there's 9 years of labor peace after this season, which we thought would be a good thing, even if there were things that we might want to change. So this seems to be sort of like a PR thing going back and forth.
It is a PR thing.
And I think now it's like, I think the ball is in a way in the PA's court, because now Bettman's saying, we don't want to change much. We want 9 years of labor peace. We want things to be the same, la-di-da. And
right.
Players are the ones who look like they're the heavies in a sense.
Yeah, they're putting all the pressure on the players. They know the players want to go. I was watching NHL Now yesterday, and Dan Rosen, I guess, got some comments from one of the Board of Governors. They didn't say who, and it was before the meeting, and he basically said, well, you know what our stance is on this. And it's rare when you get a quote out of a Board of Governor before their meeting, but when it's something like that, you pretty much know at this point, unless the players bowl them over, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, the owners, the Board of Governors, because some of the Board of Governors are not owners, but
right.
In general, they don't want to go. Right. They're not going to go unless there's some overriding reason and some pot at the end of the rainbow that says, okay, we have to pay this price to get something good for ourselves. And I think the owners and the Board of Governors are saying, okay, that would be 3 extra years of a CBA that they can live with. That maybe and we know right now there's a stumbling block. The big stumbling block with the players is escrow. And Bettman addressed that yesterday. He says this system, meaning escrow, as it works, depends on, the reason that the cap is set where it is, and in fact player contracts are somewhat inflated beyond what the system calls, is because there's an escrow to recapture that extra money.
Right.
If you lowered the cap, then you would have less escrow. It's that simple. So basically right now he's saying you're paying because we had to inflate the cap to $73 million. So it's your fault. It's not our fault.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. When you have a negotiation, there's always going to be these moments of PR when one looks like the heavy and the other, but they're equal. It's really equal. Mm-hmm. But what's not equal is the fact that the league really doesn't want to go, and there's not a lot of incentive for them to go. Sure, the IIHF gave them a little bit more, but if it was great, they would have already signed on for it. So it's going to go down to the wire. We'll probably get one more offer out there that we know about, and I don't expect it to happen. I just don't. And And if it were me, I would just make the Olympics like an under 24 event. That's it. This way you're still seeing young players. I thought about the retired player aspect, but there's probably not going to be enough of them. So I think just go under 24. There are definitely going to be players that are in other leagues, Americans overseas and otherwise, that let them play, let them be part of Team USA. It's fine. I think you would actually see some decent hockey. I think the competition level would be good because I think if everybody were pulling from the same pool, then I think you have like competition, and then it's just, because it won't be like, Russian pros against U.S. amateurs. It won't be like that. Everybody will be in the same boat. You could be a professional, but you just can't be affiliated with the NHL, and you got to be under 24. I think if that were the case, there would be a good energy level.
So what you're saying is it would basically be a glorified Spengler Cup, which is what unaffiliated professional players, who, some of them playing in Europe, some of them playing wherever, and that's
or somebody without a contract. Somebody without an NHL contract could wait if they fit the criteria and wait to sign with the NHL. If they want to play in this, that's fine.
Well, wasn't that what happened? Was it 92? Was it Albertville where Lindros, when he was holding out before the trade, he was in there. I think it was Sean Burke.
Yeah.
A couple other players, like Dave.
So there'll be a few of those players too.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It wouldn't be the worst thing, but honestly, I don't think the NHL wants to go. I think they made that painfully clear, and I think right now what you're going to see is the only way they're going to go is to be dragged kicking and screaming based on what they're getting outside of the Olympics. If they get that 3 years, which is a benefit to them, then I think they'll go. And if they don't, then I think you're waiting until 2022 to go back to the Olympics in China.
I honestly don't hear a lot of fan outcry. I don't know about you, but I really don't see it online. I don't see a lot of fans saying, I'll be crushed if there's no Olympics. They seem to be really lukewarm about it.
Well, I know that John Shannon from Sportsnet ran a poll on Twitter, which is not scientific, but it had 65% of the people wanted them to go to the Olympics. But of course, most of his followers are from Canada, and they've won how many gold medals in a row? So of course they want to go.
Right.
But, the thing is if you're from the United States or Sweden or Finland or wherever, maybe you don't want to go. And maybe these professionals, the players in general, at least the public perception out there is that they want to go to the Olympics. But what are they going to say? No, I don't want to go play for my country.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. But I just think at the end of the day, it's not happening. I'll be surprised if it happens. And again, NBC is not going to be hurting here. They'll still have all the hockey action. They'll have whatever Olympic hockey is and the NHL at the same time. It really won't be that bad.
I will be bowled over if there's an agreement for an extension of the CBA, because that's the only way that this happens. So right now, when the tweets came out yesterday and they were not they were not optimistic about them going to the Olympics. I think we said that 2 months ago, or maybe even during the summer. It sounded like it wasn't going to happen. So.
To be honest, I could see the league making the announcement right around the Centennial Classic. Maybe after that ends, they have the whole media there. It's Toronto. They have to give an answer in December. In January, they said, I know it's like January 20th, but if they don't feel like it's going anywhere, and they definitely said it would go into the new year, maybe they just do it right there.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to taint an event like that in Toronto. Maybe
it's not tainting it. It's just you have everybody there. It's like
maybe the All-Star game.
Or the All-Star game. You'll have everybody there. I don't think it taints it. What I think it does is it puts an end to it, because all the media is there and you have your question and answer, and then it's over.
But by tainting it, you're taking the attention off of the event. That's the first outdoor game in Toronto. They've been looking.
Sure, but there's going to be so much other stuff. Like this would be the last thing.
Yeah, and one thing people don't remember is the World Junior is going on right during the middle of that. When the World Junior starts, I think December 26th, ends January 5th, and the Centennial Classic in Toronto is on January 1st. So it's smack dab right in the middle.
Yes.
Of everything. So, okay. Story came out this morning, and it's more sort of bad news and more signaling the corruption of the Russian athletic program under Vladimir Putin. You know, it's sort of like the end. Yeah, exactly. The end justifying means with Mr. Putin. Apparently, there were like 100 urine samples from athletes at the Sochi Olympics, and every one of them was deemed to be tampered with. There's the speculation is over 1,000 athletes, whether it's meldonium or other performance enhancing drug. You know, it's a state sponsored systematic going around the rules.
You want to keep getting paid? Take this.
Yeah, no, right. And if according to one report, I guess the KGB was the one who was responsible for moving the urine around.
I don't blame the players because you're stuck in a spot where you really can't say no.
No. But I mean, we've seen already like the result of this with, you know, the talk of banning athletes from the Olympics that just happened last summer, and in the hockey world, the under-18 Russian team, where was it? It was more than half of the team basically just didn't go.
It was at least half, and so they just disqualified the whole team, and then only Russian players who weren't part of that team, like the ones that were in the CHL, a few of those could play, and a few others.
Now, I think,
and then the under-17 program, who was deemed clean.
Now, I think the funny thing is that the IOC, you know, there's hints that the IOC is just going to ban Russia completely from the 2018 Olympics.
It's not happening.
That's probably not happening. They got too much influence. But I just have a picture here in the opening ceremonies at Pyeongchang, and the Russian flag coming out, and the only one carrying it out there is Alex Ovechkin, because he's left the NHL. The NHL isn't going there, and he's the lone guy carrying the flag, and he's going to play 1-on-20 in every game. He probably will beat South Korea by himself.
Yeah, I would think he would beat them by 10 goals.
But, you know, just I don't know. It's just, I mean, I can't say that I'm not surprised because.
No, I mean, but look, the IOC always talks tough about Russia, and like in our lifetime, 1980 was the only time that we saw that we didn't go because Russia was still in it. They didn't even kick him out then, and they had every reason to kick him out then, so we didn't show up, right? That was the only time that I remember in our lifetime that.
Well, they didn't show up in '84. That was in
84. Sorry, 84, not 80.
No, you were right. And so, remember, the Russians were there in the winter of 1980.
That's right.
And then after the Russians had invaded Afghanistan, our brilliant president, Jimmy Carter, his response was not, you know, funding the Mujahideen, was not giving arms. It was telling our Olympic athletes not to go to Moscow.
That's right.
Yeah. So then they responded, and they wouldn't go to Los Angeles in '84. So.
Right, that's right. There was a positive side to that, though. When I was in college, McDonald's had that Olympic game with the scratch-offs, and they were giving away more free food than they really cared to because, you know, basically if you got anything Russia, you got a gold medal, you got free food. It was unbelievable.
Because they printed it out before they knew the Russians.
Correct.
But the thing was, they also, because I remember that back in the day, they also you also got like you got American, like they picked like all the Olympic gymnastic events, and because the Russians weren't there, like I was rooting for Mary Lou Retton because I was getting buy one get one free Max.
Yeah, I mean the Americans. That's right, and the Americans kept piling up medals, and I kept eating.
Yeah, and no, never.
Yeah.
Okay. There were 10 games in the NHL last night, a few interesting ones. You were at one of them, and we have to talk about this because I watched this game off and on, and I kept checking back because the score just kept going back and forth. Wild affair. Philadelphia wins.
Mike?